Life Audio.
She had 2 bags. She sold 2 bags, which is high dollar. And I'm like, give me my bag back. And I looked at my booth. I looked at her. I'm like, hey, those are my bags. You did not pay for them. I want them back. Get them off.
Hello and welcome to the Encourager Podcast, where we have encouraging conversations to help you joyfully harmonize your home and work life. I'm your host, Rebekah Scott. I'm a wife, mother, designer, coach, and author. I'm here to help encourage and empower you to confidently make decisions that work for you and your stage of life, whatever that might be.
Hello, encouragers. Okay, today's podcast is taking a way different route than normal, but I think you're really going to enjoy it. We are celebrating something really fun this year that actually came up on us without us even knowing it, because my sales tax license says it was open in 2004. And I was like, what? No. Well, I'm an overachiever, you guys. And I'm sure I applied for early because I'm a rule follower also. And I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I have it in place and then start selling things. So Sarah's A-ing my rule following thing. That's not true. We've been in business for 20 years for my purse and accessory business. So if you go to designyourownpurse.com, you can design something super custom, super stylish, and super organized. Okay, there's our little pitch for that. Everybody head out and do that. And then the podcast brand, The Encourager, actually came after this, and mostly because of this, because I started figuring out how to run a business and how to run a family. Now, my guest today is my twin sister, Sarah Jensen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the only twin things about us is the sound of our voice, you guys. So you may have to turn the volume down on your podcast. You will not need to listen to it at 1.5 speed. Don't do it. We talk fast enough. You're gonna miss the details.
You might have to go back down to 0.5.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay. In 20 years of business, we do a lot of traveling. So to give you some background, we sew and design purses and accessories, and part of the model, if you will, is traveling to art and craft shows. In fact, that was the majority of the model in the beginning, right? Because this was before websites took off and all of that. But we have continued to travel and be strategic about the shows that we pick, and some that were just bombs. But Sarah and I showed up. And Sarah is the best sister who's like, well, first of all, she loves adventure. So she's like, I'm going. Sure, I'll go. And the amount of stories, we're just going to open up the vault, if you will, and talk about 3 different areas. Sarah's already nervous laughing. The 3 areas of traveling, or the 3 areas, of traveling, which would be number 1, travel, like traveling to the shows. Number 2, booth life, which is, it's a whole thing, you guys.
It's a whole thing.
And then number 3 is the vendors that we have met in the 20 years, both endearing stories and weird stories.
Just stories that just make you laugh out loud. You're like, is that real?
Gosh.
It happened.
So I think we would tell you, Sarah and I always say, being a vendor or an exhibitor or whatever you want to call it, or an artisan, depending on what crowd we're talking to. If we're being sophisticated, we're like artisans. Or if they're legit artisans, like they sculpt something beautiful, then we're like, okay, they're definitely an artisan. But being a vendor, no matter what title you pick, is being a showered carney.
Showered carney. We say that all the time.
You immediately get a vision of what a carney is. And then think of vendors. We just shower more often.
We slap on a little bit more makeup and go back. 12-hour shows.
I know. Well, yes, some of the shows, so also background, sometimes they're outside. Sometimes they're indoors.
I would say the majority are outside.
The majority that we do are outside, yes. Mm-hmm. And so that requires tents, weights, rain, wind.
35-pound weights. These aren't just little 10-pounders. No.
Oh my gosh, no. I don't know that we've had snow. Have we ever had sleet at a show? Probably.
Yeah. Coming through the indoors. Shakopee.
Yeah, but I'm talking outside.
No.
But yes, we've endured snow when we've been inside. Like there's so many things that you endure. And you don't realize how asinine it sounds until you head home and you're like, what did we just do? Like,
yeah, it was snowing into the vendor. We were having to block it off. That was the worst.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're going to cover as many areas as possible. We will never call all of them. So I challenge you, listeners, as you do download this podcast, reach out and say, we want another one with guest Sarah Bear. She's just like competitive. People think I'm the competitive one. I'm like, no, you have not met Sarah Bear. It's her. It's totally her. Okay. So first off, in travel, we have traveled in many different vehicles. We started out in the Intrepid, the old car that we took the back out because my dad bought Kmart stands and they would fit in the back.
Yeah.
So we would take the seat out in the back and we traveled with that. Then we moved to a minivan. And now we currently, for the last 2 vehicles, have drone extra length cargo vans. That is the route to go for sure. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay, sidebar, because this is going to be very difficult for us to stay on subject, but Sarah, we got to tell this one. It was when we had the Intrepid car. We were in Shakopee, Minnesota for a show. The vendors next to us were 2 gentlemen selling tire
rope swings.
Swings, like rope swings.
Yeah.
So they had rope, and then they also had these tire swings. They were really, really cool. Sarah and I were fresh vendors. We're just taking in all the knowledge, figuring it out. We're two moms that got away from.
I wasn't even a mom. I was just paid in chocolate.
True. She wasn't even paid then. We were just so excited to have this trip together. We're at this trip. The vendors next to us went to eat at Burger King.
No, that morning they came.
Okay.
And they were still chowing on their burgers, and he had oil from the ropes, and he must have itched his eye, and he goes, "Oh man, my eye just won't stop itching." And it was just like growing in size. And I'm like, I was like, we better, it's closing. You can't see. We need to. Ran him down to the policeman that was always there. And I said, we need some serious antiphylactic, He's like,
I wish this was visual. We'll take a ton of clips of this to use on social media. But Sarah was considered just like one of those when you do a double take, you're like, "Hey, how are you guys?" Whoa, hey.
I don't even think we did "How you doing?" It was "Hey." Are you okay?
So Sarah rushes him to we didn't even barely know where the vendor setup site is. And then you did end up taking his partner didn't, because we're diehards for sales. Like, it's every last dollar, right? So some of us had to stay in the booth while Sarah's rescuing people and their eyeballs coming out of their head.
No, it wasn't coming out. It was just getting swollen in.
Right.
So bad.
So funny.
I'm fine.
By the way, he's okay now.
Yeah, he's good.
Because of Sarah's rescuing skills. Okay, so also, when we travel in these things, sometimes we had babies with us. And we kind of established this policy after I have 4 kiddos and Sarah has 2, that they can travel us to the age of about 8 months, 9 months. Yeah. And then as mothers, we'd be like, "No, my child's too busy for this," or whatever. Yeah. So we have some really sweet stories of getting to know our kiddos, including Rosalind at 10 days old. Iverson at 6 weeks old. I
was in labor with Roman at Shakopee.
You were in labor with Roman. Not in the booth, everyone.
No.
In the booth, everyone.
Hospital.
No.
Hospital.
I mean, how dare she have it at an actual hospital?
I know, right?
And then Pixon was 3 months old and Rome was 4 months old. We decided to take our parents on that trip.
That was fun.
They just ran around with the babies while we conducted. It was so fun.
They loved it. Anyways, they just showed off their grandkids.
You tell it, because you tell it better. What happened with Iverson? And she was 3
Nana was with us. Mom was with us.
Oh, that's right.
And we were in it wasn't obviously not the cargo. I can't even remember what vehicle we were in.
A minivan. It was a minivan.
And Ivy was just so petite. She was just little. And and we knew she hadn't pooped in like 2 days. We're like, okay.
Probably more like 4 or 5. She was breastfed baby. You know when they get to that stage?
Yeah.
It was like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, it was bad. And all of a sudden, Mom was with her in the back. No. Yeah, Mom was with her in the back seat. And all of a sudden we hear, like, we're like, it's hopefully not Mom. It was baby. And we look back and poor Ivy's cheeks were so hot red. And she just had this look of pure strain. I'm like, pull over. So we pull over and we get her out of the car and it's coming out so fast and so fierce. We're catching it and we're all dying. I mean, you can't be mad at that moment. You can't laugh. No. You can't cry. It's just like, just let it go.
Literally catching it. I don't know why we didn't just let it fall, but you're like, I don't know. It was every
her poor legs were shaking.
So there we are. And then, like, what did we have packed? Like, you can't even use a whole container of wipes and still pick up after something like that.
I just remember that we were laughing, all 3 of us, just uncontrollably, because she just had so much poop coming out of her. We're like, this little tiny body has got so much poop. We finally got her changed clothes. It was even in her car seat. Like, it was extensive. I know. It was and we smelled it all the way home. We had just lost Shakopee too. It was good. 4 hours home.
4 hours of blissfulness. Okay, so there's one of the babies. Then we had the notorious, this is one of my favorites. We had 5 offenses. We got pulled over and we had 5 offenses. Now, you are going to see us talk over each other in this because we both have a different recollection of how the story goes, but mine is better. So that's what we need to remember here.
Pants story.
Okay, we better start with that.
That is the beginning of it.
Okay, I'm gonna start at the beginning of it because this is, I think, where you go wrong. We're on our way home.
You're just trying to make yourself look better. I see
Minnesota.
you.
I'm not. I'm just telling you the truth. We're on our way home from a show in Minnesota. This town notoriously always has. We got to tell that one too. We have to tell that one too. This town always has a lot of cops outside of it. A little bit before it was raining. It was an indoor show. It was an indoor show. It started to rain and snow, kind of that weird slushy stuff. So the bottom of our pants were soaked. All we could think about was like getting packed up and get home. We were like
up to your knees soaked. It was just drenched.
Yes, wet. So Sarah goes to get in the car and she's like, "I need to find a change of pants." And I am like, "No,
we're going home.
We're going home." Sarah's like, can I please do that?" I'm like, no. I just get in the car. It'll dry, Sarah. It'll be fine. You can take off your pants and you can hang them from the window. And now I sound so mean. Sarah's like, okay.
No, I didn't say okay. I was like, no, I need some dry pants.
I'm like, no, you'll be fine.
When it comes to comfort in the cargo van, you need warm clothes.
No. So we get in the cargo van. She just takes off her pants, right? We're just traveling with our underwear. It's all good. It's all fine. It's fine. I have clothes on. Sarah is.
I had a blanket. I was not just chilling naked.
True. First of all, we were not naked.
Not naked. So but I wasn't just in my undies. There was
undergarments involved here. So Sarah is doing the blanket thing without the pants on as we're trying to dry them off. By the way, we did put the pants in the window to try and dry them off with the wind. Because, we're smart like that. We're super smart like
Even
that.
though it was sleeting and snowing outside. I mean, it was totally going to dry.
This is details. So we have to go to McDonald's. That's Sarah's favorite. She calls it the Golden Arches. It's don't let her skinny arms fool you. This girl can eat. We go to McDonald's. I make her go through McDonald's with the blankets on. She's all nervous now. I'm like, you're fine. Nobody cares. I am like, we're getting home right now. Anyways, we go through McDonald's. Not far after McDonald's, we get pulled over. I don't know why.
And I knew it. I called it and I said, "Becca, there's a cop." And you're like, "No." And I was like, "Oh, he's not going to pull me over. He's not going to pull me." I'm like, I see the lights. Yeah, he's coming after you. He's right there.
Anyhow.
And so I'm like, "Get your pants on."
So he pulls us over. We're like, chill.
We're dressed.
We're fine.
We're dressed. I got dressed.
We have some clothes on. And, "Well, hi, officer. How can I help you?" And he's like, "Do you realize you're speeding?" I'm like, "I'm so sorry. We just got done with the show. We're ready to be home." He's like, "Okay. Well, let me see your driver's license and registration." I hand him my driver's license registration. He heads back to his car. Sarah and I are like, "Gosh, what do you think the odds are?" Just visiting and laughing. That, thank the Lord, she had pants on.
I'm like,
when the guy pulled us over, right? He comes back and he goes, "Well, ma'am, I'm going to have to ask your passenger to drive because," well, let me say this, "because your license is expired and your insurance is, you don't have current insurance cards with you." I had current insurance, but I didn't have the cards with me, right? "And you have a taillight out and you're speeding." You guys, we're at 5 offenses. I'm not going to go back and review them because you just don't do math while you're live. Okay. So I have a ton of offenses. And he goes, "Your passenger is going to have to drive." And Sarah and I bust out immediately. He's like, "Excuse me?" I'm like, "Well, she's my twin. So if I'm expired, she definitely is expired too." So he's like, "Oh my gosh. Now you tell it from here because my recollection is different."
He goes, "Give me a few minutes." So he goes back and Becca and I are like, we couldn't help but laugh. I mean, at that point, so can you cry?
5 offenses.
No. We just were like, well, what's going to happen? Because then he even asked, he goes, "Yes. Can't somebody come pick you up?" "No, we're 3 hours from home. There's nobody around here that we know." And we're from, at the time, South Dakota. We're from South Dakota.
"You can go to the station." I'm like, "Are you seriously going to make us stay the night in the station?"
Well, we could go to the station. I'm like, no, we've got babies at home. You did. I didn't at the time. I even charmed. I tried to charm. That didn't even work. But he goes back to his car. Becca and I are trying to think, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And he comes back and goes, "Okay, ladies, if I need to go to the station and if you happen not to be here when I come back, so be it. And Becca went, oh, thank you, officer, so much. And he turns around and leaves. And Becca turns to me, my moment of wetness. And she goes, does he want us to stay here? He wants us to get the heck out of Dodge. Go. Don't peel out, but go. She was just so sweet and just said, does he want us to stay here or follow him? That's what it was. Does he need us to follow him? No, he wants us out. It's like, get out of my state, girls. Just go away. Take care of your licenses and go away.
I think if we were seriously like, he didn't know what to do. He's like, I don't even know what to charge them for. Like, they
just
can't
shaking
home.
His head like,
it's like, get out of my state.
Go away.
So we did. Okay. So other stories where we didn't get pulled over, but something happened wrong. This was in the car days. We had to start eventually packing a trailer.
Yeah.
So my dad has this, my dad's a great mechanic and engineer. He makes this trailer for us that we can pack all the stuff in. We pack the stuff in the trailer. He's walked us through how to operate the pin and the chain and all the stuff, right? We're driving along. We're eating McDonald's, which, yep, that's our go-to. We never eat McDonald's until we're together, right? We're eating McDonald's. We're traveling through another small Minnesota town.
No, I think it was honestly the same town.
I think so too. St. Peter, Minnesota.
Yeah.
We love you, except that your cops want us out of your town. Anyways, all of a sudden, Sarah's eating her nugget, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, there's the trailer!" And the trailer is parallel to me driving, and we're like,
we looked over and we're like, "Oh crap! What are we gonna do about this?"
So we pull over as fast as we possibly can.
It finally went over and parked itself, but
yeah, it wasn't. Thankfully, it wasn't a dramatic. Like, we were going slow because we were just in town, so it wasn't a dramatic like shaking.
And on
the
a side street.
And on a side street. So guess where I pulled into the nearest parking lot to just get us in position. Anybody want to guess what the parking lot was for?
Ooh, women's prison.
Like, well, better than a guy's prison at this point. And
we
the other part of the story is that I am 9 months pregnant. I mean, it was like full. You know, when you're touching the steering wheel.
With Ivy.
I could have been.
It was Ivy.
But I was fully pregnant. And we're calling my dad like, okay, Dad, we either forgot the pin or something. And he's walking us through where the hardware store is. He's helping us find us. This is long before cell phones were quite so handy. So we had to do some like noodling to figure out how to find the hardware store. We're like, okay, we'll go buy a new pin or whatever. And we're trying to avoid calling the cops. We're trying to avoid that because I know I have a trailer light out and I don't want to get busted for that. But anyways, we find the pin. The pin was found. Like, it was near the trailer or whatever. So the only way to make sure that the car and the trailer were hooked to each other, and by the way, we will butcher all the actual parts of the story, so just stay with us. I had to roll underneath the vehicle with my belly. And my dad says,
I offered, but she wouldn't let me.
For sure. I'm like, nope, I feel better doing this. I have more strength than you, I'm sure, is what my ego was saying at the time.
And she was 9 months pregnant.
There was that. Yeah, you don't mess with me, right?
Nope.
Dad says, girls, I love you both. I want you to call the cops so he can check the setup that it is, in fact, like clicking in.
I love you too much. I love you too much not to get this checked.
Fine, Dad. By the way, neither one of those called their husbands. Call your dad.
I wasn't married.
Well, anyways, Dad says, hey, call the cops. So we call the cop. He comes and we're like, hey, this is actually just an isolated scenario. We just need you to check to make sure that this trailer is attached. It's just unattached. And he's like, when he rolled up, I was rolling out from under the car with my big belly.
So and he was like, what is this? What are you doing? Like, he was genuinely concerned.
Very concerned. What's going on here? And we told him, and he's like, where are you guys from? Oh, well, we grew up in West River, South Dakota. He's like, all of a sudden he was like, everything makes sense. Which, we're not sure what that means, but we don't care.
I don't care.
And he fixed it. And then he goes, okay, I'll follow you out of town. Background, I have the trailer lights. So I'm like, no. You know, we got to like eat, and I got to do some things. You just go
eating
ahead.
My nuggets.
Sarah's got a real thing for McDonald's. The conclusion is Sarah loves McDonald's. Because another story involves McDonald's as well. Anyways, Sarah, it's
usually the easiest place to pull it to.
Yes. He leaves. We make it home fine with the trailer and all of the giggles about like what he was thinking as he rolled up, and this pregnant lady comes out from underneath a car. Mind you, a car, like a low car. I think it even like, I had to squeeze through a little.
Good thing you didn't have a tramp stamp or anything.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been
gosh,
better.
Okay. Then now we're moving into like cargo van years where we're like living the dream. The first cargo van was Jerry. I bought him on a rummage sale for $3,000.
And he had a gate.
Oh yeah, I did have a gate. So it was like percussion every time you rode this thing. Sarah and I have to yell at each other to have conversation. But you know when two girlfriends finally get together and you can finish your sentences, and Sarah and I, as you are noticing, can talk over each other and finish each other's sentences while keeping up with the story before that, right? So we're like yelling at each other over this. Dad finally takes the cage off because he's like, this thing is really loud. I didn't even know that was an option. Okay, the other one that we have to talk about is the cargo vans and their lack of seeing. Their headlights
are atrocious.
Terrible. Now, we literally make the van a character. Her name is Debbie. She's going through menopause. Debs for short. She's going through menopause, meaning she does not cool. We have no air conditioning. She heats really good, really hot.
Really hot.
Hence menopause. And they always have terrible lights. Doesn't matter if you clean them. Doesn't matter if you position them. Doesn't matter if you get the latest light bulb. They have terrible headlights. So the terrible headlight, to cut to that, I brought it to one of my friends here in town and he gave us the best gift ever.
She got a push-up bra.
Debbie got a push-up bra. Underneath her headlights, she put two special lights and it's got a fancy button in
a red
the
button.
van.
It's even red. It's fun.
Sarah loves buttons, and she pushes a button, and the push-up bra is enacted, and you can finally see better. It's glorious.
When she first let me push the button, it turned on, and it was against a white canvas because we were parked at Shakopee. We were like, wow! It was like we were in a concert.
So loud.
It was so funny.
So loud for the lights. Because it's bad enough that we'd have to pull over sometimes during storms and just kind of reassociate ourselves with where the road was.
Yeah. Rolling down the window to see the lines.
Yeah, it was just, they're atrocious, but she's making some improvements. And then another problem that Debbie had was there was a hole in I don't know if I would say the hole in the exhaust, because again, anybody who's mechanically brained.
They'd be like, stop talking.
Stop talking, everyone. Stop talking. But there's a hole near the engine that went directly into the cab of the van. So we're smelling. And I always said, like, well, Debbie's got gas problems. As soon as you gas her up, and she's just gassy for quite a few miles before you can get that scent out. Well, this hole must have been getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we didn't know it.
Nope.
And finally, I took it to the guy who gave us a push-up bra, and I was like, hey, gassy Debbie here. After it was so bad.
Oh man,
Sarah had like a headache for 3 days
at school. It was so bad.
And her bag, her Rebekah Scott Designs Phoebe bag, must have been sitting on top of it.
It soaked it up.
The majority.
Which I'm grateful, because otherwise it would have been into your other products.
Oh, well, sure. That was the good thing, except that when she brought it to a meeting, after she had washed it twice, people were like, whoa, why do I smell gas?
And I'm like, smelling my clothes, and I lift up my bag and about pass out. I'm like, oh my word. So Sarah got an upgrade. I now have an Angie.
I replaced her bag, took it to the mechanic, and he was like, I don't know how you guys did this. This was awful. It's like you get in that mode of being positive and uplifting and grit and grind when you're a vendor, that it's sometimes grit. It is the grit that you're just like live through it.
Grit and bear it.
Yeah. It's like, it's so being gassed out was a new level of story.
And when I got into my other car, and I could still smell it, it was just permeating everywhere. We had such bad headaches. That's because we should have been passed out. I know things were pretty loony on the way home. Yes, and they usually are, but I mean, this was like a whole new level. Everything was hilarious.
Sarah, let's tell them our last travel story, which, by the way, there's tons more of these. But we were headed to a show in Fargo.
Dehydration.
It was like dehydration. No. We always got dehydrated. We were traveling to a show in Fargo. It's like 2 p.m. We're two moms that have just survived summer and are in the middle of summer. I am driving. And Sarah and I like to listen to different podcasts while we're driving together. Like, she shares an AirPod and I share an AirPod. We're listening to Haunted Cosmos. It's so good.
Plug for Haunted Cosmos. It's awesome.
Oh my gosh, you guys, it's good.
It'll keep you awake.
Oh yeah, it'll keep you on your seat. Yeah, no. But so good. We're listening to it. I'm excited to find out about this one character, Marisol. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait, how did we hear it? And it like ends. The podcast like says, and then Marisol, and that's Marcel. And I was like, I looked at Sarah and I go, wait a minute, what just happened? What happened to Marcel? And Sarah's like, Rebekah. They've been talking about Marcel for the last 20 minutes.
Actually, they moved on past her and were telling about the other characters in the story. So
we were nervous laughing so hard because what happened was...
This is Becca. Oh, I need my sunglasses. I need to demo this. Okay.
It was affectionately called, which it should not be. I wish you guys could see this. She's got her neck slightly turned up, her sunglasses on with her eyes closed.
And my mouth slightly open, like in a slight, like I'm in my happy place sleep mode. Like, I looked over it a couple times. I'm like, are you okay? How you doing? And she's like, I'm fine. She was asleep.
Not okay. Not
sleep driving.
I was like half. It was not good. It was
half.
Not good.
You didn't listen to any of the podcasts. But the crazy thing is, she never once went on the bumps. Like, I wasn't like fearful for my life. I'm like, oh, she's keeping between the lines. Listen to the podcast. And all of a sudden she's like, she comes out of it and she's like, so what happened to Marcel? Did you just take like a brain snooze? What happened?
Sarah's like, pull over right now.
I saw you, and then I turned to her and I'm like, are you getting tired?
To it.
Are you getting sleepy? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, well, I think you just took a 20-minute nap. Are you sure?
So she did make me pull over, everyone. We were much more safe. She now knows even more signs of like, don't trust Becca when she says she's okay. When you see that she's not okay.
Did you notice most of the time she's driving? Maybe I should just not let her drive sometimes. She's like, no, I got it.
She's pausing right now. You can't see it, but she's pausing. Oh, okay. So we since like communicate a little bit better about that, just so everyone knows that we are trying to.
Well, half the time we were just quiet Sarah, because we can be in each other's presence, and I didn't realize. I know sometimes she was asleep.
The open mouth stare, where we're just like, I have nothing left. We've talked to customers all day. Like we have nothing left.
We squeeze each other's arms, like it's okay.
Love you. Okay. Also, one more of our travel stories was, I believe, with Jerry. Okay. He quit only 100 miles out, and it's like 400 miles from the show. 100 miles out.
This is Debbie.
You think it was Debbie?
It was Debbie.
We think we're traveling in Debbie because both vans are so similar. It depends on if we were cold or not, if they're hot or not, right?
Truth.
We're in Debbie. It quits 100 miles out, and we're 100 miles from home, so it's like it's 100 miles. You don't want to undo the 100 miles that you just did. We've only got 250 to 300 miles left.
And she was waiting for me to go to school, so it's later in the evening, too. We're like, we don't want to be on the side of the road this time of night.
We got to get there. We got to get set up. We were getting stressed out about it. Our husbands finally convinced us, call a tow truck. Like, we can't fix this from there. But you better believe Sarah and I were out with the van smoking, trying to figure it out ourselves. Like, we'll do it. We'll put a gallon of water
smoking.
In.
The van was smoking. You're like, Becca and I are out there smoking. No, the van.
The van is smoking. And we're trying to figure out how to do it. Husbands say, call the tow truck. We call the tow truck. And they're like, oh, we're not in business. Blah, blah. We're like, please. Like, we are desperate.
Because it was past 5 o'clock.
It was past 5 o'clock. Somebody comes and they're like, well, we can tow you to the nearest place and then you can leave in the morning. I'm like, that's not an option. The show opens up. This is like, we have to get to the show. And I caught him in a moment of vulnerability and silence. I was silent while he was like, do you just want me to tow you the 300 miles? And I'm like, yes.
I think he said it like flippantly, like, yeah, she's not going to do it. We're like, yes. And we tried to stay in the van for the tow, but they wouldn't let us.
Yes. That would have been so much fun. I'm like, Sarah, this is going to be so fun. We're going to be towed and we'll sit on the top of the trailer together and we don't have to drive. So we can even sleep.
Which you did
talk and be together. I did accidentally fall asleep.
Well, because you were pregnant with Pix. I had just had Roman.
I'll tell you the amount of pregnancies while we were traveling. So we get in and Sarah and I go to load up in the trailer. And he's like, and he goes, ladies, no. You have to travel
inside with me. And this really nice pickup. I mean,
he had a new dump truck. Remember, it was a brand spanking new dump truck. He is Hispanic.
It's not a dump truck.
A very thick. Oh no, what is that called? Tow truck.
Tow truck. I'm like, that dump. We're not in a dump truck.
That would have made it better. Gets in he's a Hispanic man who had a very thick accent, but like you could totally understand. And this was his baby. Like he got his new tow truck, so to say. Sarah's like, hey, on the other corner, can you ask me to go to McDonald's? No, I'm not asking him to go to, no.
He asked us, you girls hungry? Yes. And Becca's
I'm like, no.
Oh my gosh, no.
no, we're not forfeiting time. And Sarah's like, listen here, I'm going to get McDonald's. I'm like, fine. So then we have to go to McDonald's. I'm checking Debbie to make sure everything is fine in the back of her. Sarah walks out with her little sack.
They did.
Ready to have her little picnic lunch with this stranger in the tow truck for the next 250 miles. We get in the car, and do you know what his playlist was full of?
Mexican love music. Da, 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 da. We're like, you can tell by the tune it was definitely a love song. And we're
definitely a love song. Like, this is awkward. And his name was Leo. And so we're like, well, this could be fun. And then the other part of the story is, so we get down the road. He knows that we're pretty like outgoing, and we see the humor in this. And he's like, all right, well, we're going on a road trip tonight. I didn't plan on this, but whatever. Because of the way that his company operates, he cannot take calls on his personal phone. They all have to be taken by Bluetooth so you can see the speaker, up above, just to keep them safe. Well, his brother calls.
and
do you remember this? And we're like, so we answer the phone. The phone rings, we go, hello. Like, and he moved immediately into Spanish because he was like, what the heck is going on? And
he's like, Leo. And it's like two girls in the vehicle, like he had picked up two girls. No, he's just hauling us because we're.
So then he goes in Spanish and we go, Leo, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You have to talk American from here on out. We want to say hi.
American, English.
Thank you. So that's hilarious. So we're just laughing it up. And he is telling us the most interesting stories about the cartel and his family trying to get into America. And that's why he's so successful, because he's trying to buy them back. It was horrendous. I will spare you some of the details unless you're common enough and you want us to tell you. But it was fascinating. And we actually drove past this place. Do you remember?
Yeah.
He's like, hey,
that's the homestead.
That's the homestead. We're like, that is so cool. And so we got there, parked the decrepit van in the parking lot, had our uncle come and get us, fixed us over the 3 days that we were there, and then drove that baby home.
Yeah. Oh, nuts.
Okay, Sarah. Now, our second category is the booth life. Remember, we told you some are indoors, some are outdoors. They require tents. They require thinking through weather situations, meaning wind, thunderstorms, rain, sleet in some cases. One of my favorite ones is at Brookings Arts Festival.
Pink dress.
Were wearing the pink dress.
So here's the deal. I love this beautiful baby pink dress. It was long. Knit. It would be flowy. It was knit. I wore a slip. Glad I wore a slip.
Yes,
makes me sound 80-year-old, but I did wear a slip because I was worried it would be see-through. Okay? Yeah. And I had students that were probably going to be coming to the booth. And anybody, really. Nobody needs to see that. So it starts raining in Brookings. And I'm like, okay, we've got our gutter up because we put in a rain gutter literally up in it. And I'm holding up the sides of the tent because it's blowing in so fast and so furious. Mm-hmm. Vendors had stuff floating. It was bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I've got my arms up and I'm holding it. I wish you guys could see me. I'm holding it in a pink dress. And it is flowing down my shirt, down my face. I was soaked. So grateful I had a slip.
I think we should say this too, because even though she was underneath the tent,
I was holding
the rain channels down what we call bladders. It's like the tent, has this bladder of all this water. So we're trying to pop it out as fast as possible because the immediate thing is keep the product dry. Like you just have to keep the product dry. Who cares about yourself? You got to keep the product dry. So Sarah in her die hardness is like, okay, then that is my mission. She's standing up, holding her hands up on the tent sides, aluminum, holding it. Meanwhile, as if she is taking a shower.
Oh, drenched. Absolutely drenched. So we call my mom, who's a whole 7 miles away. I'm like, Mom, you have to bring me some clothes. I got
the truth is too, before we called Mom to get the clothes, I took a double take. I'm like trying to keep product dry. I have other people in the booth, other friends in there helping me out. And we look at Sarah and we're like, oh. And Sarah looks down. She's like, guys, is this bad? And we're like, it's bad. We see everything. Everything. It is no longer light pink. It is just a silhouette of your beautiful body. Stat. Call Mom.
So Mom, who's a whole 5 foot, brings me a pair of her capris, which are atrocious.
Which are like Bermuda shorts when you're tall.
And I have to run over to another vendor and buy a t-shirt.
Well, and we put over the top of her as soon as we noticed Sarah's delicate situation. We did have a towel, and we forfeited the towel for the product to cover up Sarah Bear.
So I run over and grab a t-shirt. I'm trying to change. You know how bad it is when you're changing in wet clothes, and I mean, like,
oh my gosh,
everything is drenched. My my undergarments were soaking through the t-shirt. I was like, oh my gosh, no makeup left. I'm like, this is vendor life. Do anything for the business.
And then the amount of trips you have to take when it's 100 degrees.
Oh, I got dehydrated.
And Sarah and I take turns. Sarah is being a gopher. She runs to the van. Now, mind you,
I'd rather be the gopher.
You couldn't unlock certain doors, so you had to go all the way to the back of the back of the van to get out. By the time Sarah, and it's an extended van, so by the time Sarah gets to the back, I love her analogy. Explain your analogy.
So you have to go into the side door because the back door won't unlock, and so you have to go into the side door. And I even propped it open. I'm like, I got this, and it goes, and it shuts. So here I am, starting to bake, trying to get my foot to the door so I can get some air. I'm trying to grab the products that everybody is seeking, putting them over my body, getting going. And I go at the back end and I have to jam it open. And I feel like I'm being birthed out of the back end of a rhino. I'm like, like pulled out and I'm just sweating profusely. I'm like, I honestly think it was pink dress day too. There was one of those. Oh,
it was a sundress. I mean,
and I came back and I just looked at Becca.
Going through a tunnel.
It was so bad. So hot. And every time they're like, Sarah, can you go grab? I'm like, just go do it. How many prices I got out of that van.
But she does a great saleswoman, but it is the birthing. It's like the Ace Ventura coming out. It's terrible.
I was not undressed. I was fully dressed, just sweaty.
So speaking of booth life, we need to tell them about the porta potty. I love fashion. I obviously designed in fashion. I love fashion. So when the jumpsuits started hitting and the rompers started hitting, I was like, sign me up, all of them. I just want to wear all of them. And so this one was like, you tied it at the top.
It was super cute.
And it had a little drawstring in the front. And I was like, look how cute I am. I love this outfit. I go to use the porta potty. You get over it. I mean, I know porta potties are disgusting, but you get over it real fast.
In and out.
Like,
in and out.
It's like,
you
whatever.
got boots to manage.
Whatever. Close your eyes. Yeah, you got something. You're trying to make sales. I thought I was in the porta potty, and the people that suck the porta potties out early in the early morning hours, I could hear them like 6 feet away from my individual porta potty. And
so Becca was
panicked.
fearful that they were going to
hold on. So I book it. I shoot out of that porta potty as if someone just lit a candle. And I book it out of that porta potty and I'm running towards Sarah. All my limbs flailing. And Sarah's like, whoa, hold on.
She's barely tied at the top. I'm
holding the top of my jumpsuit. Meanwhile, the bottom is also billowy because I didn't have time to tie either one of them. I'm pulling. And Sarah's like, you're a hot mess. What is going on? And she's spinning me around to try and tie me up. As I was like, the porta potty guys, we're going to put the hose down in my porta potty and suck everything up. And what if they sucked up part of my jumpsuit? And Sarah's like, wait.
And those jumpsuits,
what?
You have to get all the way undressed. So you're not exactly.
You're just as naked as a jaybird as you sit there. It's the worst. I was afraid they were either going to see me naked or that somehow they would take the string. And Sarah's like, okay.
They're not going to suck it up in the middle of the show.
They don't suck up from the ceiling down. I thought, because if you look at the top of the porta potty, it looks like they put the hose through the top.
Some of them do. Some do, but they're not going to do it in the middle of a show.
It was the beginning of the show. And Sarah's like, they just opened the door. I was like, oh.
I was untwisting and fixing. I'm like, what just happened? She looks like a kindergartner coming out of the bathroom. Like, your shorts are on backwards. You're untied. How'd your shirt get off? Why'd you take your shirt off? Just one of those things.
Okay, and then we're going to very quickly move to vendor stories.
Okay.
Amazing, weird, beautiful, strange people that we have met. By the way, I'm sure that you and I are in the strange category.
Oh, we are totally in the strange category. We're the purse girls. They're like, oh, the purse girls are here.
Actually, we're the bag ladies. They call us the bag ladies. And the amount of cool people that we have met, but also scenarios.
You would never, no.
I think we have to start with the toffee woman.
Yeah, we do.
We were at a show. There was a sweet little toffee lady who stands there with her orange Crocs on, but her cute little matching apron. Yeah.
She's in her 60s.
Maybe
tattoos.
70s.
She had a couple tattoos.
Oh, I forgot that part.
Anyways,
but she's just mellowed with time and she's handing out sweet little toffee samples. Which
are delicious.
Oh my gosh, but you have to wait until 2 p.m. before you can enjoy it. Anyways, we say to her, oh, so what did you do before this?
Or how'd you get into the toffee business? But she was just works for them.
And then she says, I saw that you guys said you have a concealed pocket purse. And we're like, yeah, we do. And it's for like protection or security or your Twizzlers. Like you get to pick whatever you want. And she goes, oh, I'm carrying. And we're like, oh,
awesome.
Here at the show? Cool. Okay. And
you're
then Sarah,
I'm glad they were
like, huh, well, what did you do before this? And this is where it's like, oh my gosh. So tell us,
she
Sarah.
said it so sweetly, holding the toffee. Well,
yep.
I'm, and not before. I mean, this is what she does when she's not a toffee lady.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what her job. Hmm?
Okay.
And she goes, well, I work in a women's prison. We're like, cool. All right. What do you do? Can we ask? And she goes, I'm a sniper. Toffee? Whoa,
wait,
back it up.
Whoa. What, like, do you stand in a tower all day? She goes, yep. And then we're like, what happens if they try to escape? She goes, oh, we're very clear what happens. I'm like, what? What is it? We're like, have you had to shoot? She's like, yeah.
And the look on herself is like, yes, coffee?
Would you like a toffee sample? And Sarah and I are like, shut the front door. Everybody,
everybody
go home.
Popcorn and a movie theater.
We just want to hear all the stories from the toffee lady.
She goes, yep, there has been times that I've had to take care of it. Toffee.
This is like an animal, like a road animal. We're like, wow. You just never know. Then there's Melissa and Eddie, which by the way was at the same show. Melissa and Eddie are two vendors right next to us. This is the original show that we met them at.
They met
cool product.
My Rue was like 8 weeks old, not even.
Brianna is Sarah's second, her daughter.
Oh, she was just a little, and they were in love. They're like, oh, can we hold her? I'm like, yeah, yes. We're trying to haul. And Rue was the most content baby. You look at her, she's like, hi, I love you.
It's just so fun. So we get to talk with them and getting to know them because there's only pipe and drape that's separating us. That's it. That's it. That's separating us. Sarah's nervous giggling. I'll let you guys do the math on that. I don't know if you've done that, but anyways.
The innuendo.
Nervous laugh. We're visiting with them and we say, hey, tell us about your folks, or somehow got in a conversation of
talk
folks.
about your families as they're literally holding my baby.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, we have so many. I think they have a couple kids together and they sell gourds.
They sell painted gourds, which are
gorgeous. Yeah.
And we say, hey, what about your
family?
Your parents still around?
Because they had asked us about ours. So we started talking about it. We're like, Eddie, what's your family like? And he just started sharing. He's like, well, my folks are no longer here, but I had a sister who was in a bike gang. We're like, ooh, tell us more.
Got better.
Now we need toffee and popcorn. And we were like, okay. And we said, well, what happened? And he goes, well, she apparently got out. I don't remember the bike gang because I don't know. And said that she was with her partner, and her partner said the guy found out that she was talking to the cops, and he got mad and lined it up so that they would go on this wonderful romantic bike ride. And motorcycle. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Motorcycle ride, and pulled her on the side of the road. And he had paid a truck driver to line it up to be at the exact same spot at the same time, and shoved her into traffic, and she was immediately killed by the truck driver. Yeah. And the truck driver didn't slow down. He didn't stop, nothing. And because it was such a well-known gang, her funeral had to be policed because it was two rival gangs, but everybody knew her from the others. And so it was like high intensity. And then they found, but they lied. And Eddie pushed and pushed and pushed and said, this is not lining up. This does not make sense. And they found out that he had lined it up to do it. So that guy went to prison too. And it was just Becca and I are like, whoa.
Actually, as you're telling it, I'm like, wait, I think I slept through some of that because I don't remember.
That doesn't surprise me.
So there's that. Like, that's intense right there. We talked about motorcycle gangs. And
I think that was
all
the first
scenarios. Day. Okay, yes.
And then
the second day, we're like, ooh, tell us more.
Well, tell us about your family, Melissa. And she goes, well, my mom was murdered in front of me. She was shot by my dad. And I just walked to the neighbor's house. I had blood all over. And it wasn't gang related, but it was domestic abuse. And then Becca and I are sitting there with our eyes just like, what? Because Eddie was mad. He's like, don't ask her about her mom. Don't ask her about her mom. And she goes, oh, it's okay. It's okay. And we're like, mom and dad. And we're like, oh, okay. And she's like, no, it's fine. And she started to tell. And she's like, I think I need to smoke. And she went outside and Eddie looked at us and he goes, my children don't even know that story.
I took away from, she's walking on the gravel road, holding her mom's hand.
No, it's in the house.
I don't know, but she was with her mom as she was shot, blood all over a bunch of neighbors. And then she goes, I need to smoke. And we're like, okay. And then Eddie goes,
Eddie was
she has not
out.
even told her own children this story. Why did she tell you two? And she's like, if she doesn't sleep or if I get murdered in the night, I'm blaming you two. And we're like,
I'm sorry, Eddie. I'm sorry. So the next morning she comes in and she's like, hi, girls, and gave us like squeezes and so forth. And Eddie, we're coming in, we're all looking at Eddie like,
Eddie, don't kill us. We're so sorry.
I don't think she's slept that sound in years. She was talking in her sleep, and she said, I haven't seen her sleep that soundly in years. And I said, well, maybe she just needed to tell the story. And we got it, because wow. And they're still one of our closest friends.
Yes, yeah.
They still call Baby Rue, and she's 8.
Oh my gosh. Like the stories that you pick up if you're willing to like, wait a minute, scratch the surface a little bit, like, oh, wait, tell me more. Hilarious. One story that obviously no vendor wants to do this, but we know that it happened, and that is theft. And we were at a show where a Sarah bag went missing. And yes, it's obviously named after Sarah. And Sarah was well aware of it because she thought it was so cute. And she goes, hey, if this doesn't sell by the end of the show, I want that purse. I'm like, of course. Yes, absolutely. Well, it disappears. And Sarah's like, wait a minute.
Did you sell it, Becca? Gone. Did you sell it? Tell me you sold it. And she was like, no. Right. And it was right on the end cap.
But like my point of view is like, it'll come back to us. Don't worry about it. Sarah's beating herself up over it because it was the corner that she was on. I'm like, Sarah, don't worry. It'll come back to us. Well,
work in my corner.
An hour and a half. Yeah, sound a little strange. An hour and a half later, the gal walks past us wearing
She has the audacity to do it.
Yes, walks right past us wearing it on her shoulder. Sarah beats on me. She's like, back up. There's the bag. And I'm like, sweet. So I take off running. I'm using in quotations, but I take off fast walking because there are shoulder people. This was pre-2020. I'm going to get her and get my bag back because she's not paid for it. I stop her. When I turn her around, she had 2 bags. She sold 2 bags, which is high dollar. And I'm like, give me my bag back. And I looked at my booth. And I looked at her. I'm like, hey, those are my bags. You did not pay for them. I want them back. Get them off. So she's taking them off. She's staring at me so blankly that I think something is wrong with her. And then I'm like, no. Then I started to have compassion. And then Sarah's like, no, like she's way more like cut to the chase. No, this is not right. Anyways, I get the bags back. I head back to my booth. Sarah and I chest bump in the hallway of like 30 feet from our booth. We're like, yeah, oh God. Blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, wait, cops. Call the cops.
10 seconds later, he can't find them.
We can't find him. I went and walked around with him to see if we could find him, but she had left. I also did check her other bags to make sure she hadn't stolen from my other friends. But it happens. Not proud of it. But then I think the story just grew and grew throughout the building with the other vendors. And they're like,
everybody related to it.
Did you hear? Like, I was sprinting. I had her on the ground. I had her hands behind her back. And I was like, I think they'd be really underwhelmed with how that actually went.
Yeah. There's a gal that's close to us, and she has a real strong accent. I think I don't know how to say Russian, but something like that.
Yeah.
And she has forever lovingly called us the Gestapo twins ever since. Because she thinks that we like got him and brought him to justice. No, we just chased her and got her purse back. But
I just want my purse back.
And the girl like stomped her foot as she walked away. We should have held her. So many things.
I know. We learned. We'll do that again. And then we're going to end this episode with one of the funniest stories that we still openly laugh in our sleep if we think about it. It's the story of Dave. And Dave. No, we're just going to say his name because I'll mess it up for sure if we don't use his name, Dave. And we were in our booth we weren't tearing down. We were just shutting down for the night. And he got to park his van right outside of the door that we used to exit. And it's a very nice van, and he sells a product. We'll put it that way. Yeah. And I'm on the way out. Sarah's on the way out. I'm curious. I'm like, hey, Dave, what kind of van do you have? This is new. And he's like, yeah, and I'm always interested in improving our processes. So I thought it would be good to find out more.
Into the van.
I step up into the van. It's like one of those Volvo vans that has the extra tall top on it. So I'm like, okay, I want to see this layout. I want to see how you've done this. I'm thinking nerd-like, all this stuff. I'm standing in the van. that I've stepped up into. Sarah is on ground level.
Yeah.
I asked him a personal question. I go,
right at that level.
Hey, can I ask you a personal question, Dave? And he goes, sure. I go, how much was the van? He tells me. I don't even remember. So now you can tell your version of the story.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
So we walk up and he has on gloves. And I'm like, okay. Because he's handling all the product. And he starts slapping them against his thigh. And I realize he's got a giant hole, like a snake, all the way up to his underwear line, which are definitely tidy whities at this point. And my eyes are bulging. I'm like, oh my gosh, eyes up, eyes up, eyes up. I mean, it was flapping. The pieces of his cargo pants were flapping in the wind. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is khakis. And I'm trying to not, I mean, I'm right at eye level, if you will, and he's up in the van. It was bad. It was real bad. And I am silently trying to get Becca's attention, like trying to hit her. And she's like, Dave, can I ask you a personal question? I'm like, oh, but she's going to tell him he's got a rip. A bad, embarrassing rip. Nope. How much is the van? I'm like, what in the world? Rebekah, tell the poor guy. I was like, I can't tell him. I can't tell him. So she gets down and goes, well, have a safe trip home. And I'm looking at her with my eyes like dilated at this point. I'm like, Rebekah. And he goes, we get into the van. I'm like, did you see the rip? And she goes, what rip? I'm like, the rip in his pants. She goes, oh no, I wasn't looking at that level. I was much better and higher. I'm like, he was at my eye level. I was on the ground. So bad. Oh, she never saw it.
I never saw the hole. Sarah had to stare at whitey tighties. I
didn't see more than I needed to, but it was definitely up to them. I'm like, way too much hair in spaces that I shouldn't see hairy legs at this moment.
I had zero clue of the entire experience until we got in the van.
It lasted
ready
a whole
to laugh
3 minutes.
Buns off.
But it was the longest 3 minutes of my life. I'm like, oh my word, I gotta stop. Let's go. I can't. I'm gonna burst.
Oh my gosh, poor innocent Dave. Well, I hope this has been enjoyable, encouragers. This is a small snippet of the stories that we have, but it would be normal to say that you're going to collect a ton of stories and a ton of relationships and a ton of different products over the years of doing this. I could not, literally, Sarah, I could not do these shows without you, and you know that, and I love you dearly. And I'm so grateful for this bank of stories that we have for when we retire and we spend time together, and we are still laughing about Dave's pants. Or being the Gestapo twins is going to be awesome.
She also, still calls us that. How many years later?
Yes.
So funny.
Also, a special privilege for those of you that are listening to this and had a good time listening. If you want to check out the purses, you can use the code Encourager12 and you'll get $12 off your purchase of $100 or more. So check out the purses. Have a blast. But if you really want to meet us, we'd love that too. So come see us. Check out the events page on the website, designyourownpurse.com. Check out the events page. Most likely it's Sarah and I. Yes.
Yeah. No, not selfish. Very well-deserved plug.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Okay. And we end most lives together for Rebekah Scott Designs with, if you wonder where all this light and energy comes from, it's
Jesus.
Know him, love him, and pursue him. But for our encourager close, we always say, until next time, encouragers, we got this because he's got us. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much for tuning in. If the Encourager podcast has helped or encouraged you in any way, please subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star review. And then help us spread the message of encouragement and hope by sharing the podcast with others. Ready to bring more organization and joy into your life? The Encourager Academy helps you harmonize your home and work life through our online course and coaching programs. Our 5-system approach, me, food, family, work, and home, tackles your biggest obstacles, offering lifetime access to video lessons and guided worksheets. Learn at your own pace with practical tools and strategies. Enroll now at EncouragerAcademy.com and use code WeGotThis for $50 off.
This is my skyship, Dreamer. My cargo is stories, and our destination, dreams.
With Abide Sleep Stories for Kids, you can help your children fall asleep fast and learn about God. To find these kids' bedtime stories, go to lifeaudio.com or search your favorite podcast app for Abide Stories for Kids. You can also download the Abide app for more biblical meditations at abide.com.